I hope everybody is well. Been a few days. Thanks for being here. If you chose to spend some of your time here with Samson and I, hopefully the video can be heard. I might have to just check on my other device here and make sure it's like playing or showing that it's playing. Let's see. Is it working? I don't see that it's working yet. What is going on? And why am I red? But it says it's been going on for a minute, so let's go this way and check it. Just want to make sure that if anyone comes in early, things are as they should be. 16 minutes ago. Why are you showing it like that? See, I'm not showing. This is so bizarre. There it goes. Now it's up. Wow, there's such a delay, huh? Alright, well, I guess I'll just carry on. Hopefully this will go alright. So I'm going to do the best that I can with this device. It is an older device, but unfortunately the newer one, that is like a nightmare that I told you guys about, because it had high strangeness attached to it, because of course it did. That one won't let me screencast, and I like to share the screen because I think showing your work is important in some cases. I don't do everybody's homework for them. I believe in reading. And I guess I'm going to go over a couple of disclaimers real quick and kind of just jump right into this, and hopefully it will flow the way I would like it to flow. And I know the title is like massively long, but I'm using a play on words there because all these things go together, and I actually wanted it longer, but I couldn't do it, so I had to kind of try and play with it a little bit. I still might. I'm weird like that. But if you are here and you found your way here, this is just kind of how I do things. I don't have my own PC, at least not one that I feel like is trustworthy. I'd like a laptop or a better device again, but I'm not sure honestly where I'm going to go regarding technology. I would not like to. I'm going backwards in a lot of ways as far as technology goes, as far as like my beliefs go. I'm trying to get back to the root of things because I just look around and everything looks very fake to me. And I know, oh, well, that's disassociation. I really don't welcome armchair diagnoses here. And on that note, let me be clear about something. I'm not a doctor. No part of this is medical advice, nor legal advice, nor any professional advice of any kind. This is me sharing my cautionary testimony in the hopes that maybe it will help somebody else out there. I've said in the past on the original channel, Burry and Jen, that I was fine with people sharing the message. I still am fine with that. What bothers me is the monetization and of God and of using someone else's words as if they're your own for some type of viral moment. And some of us unique people here who are just different, we don't really fit into a category. There's nothing wrong with people who do. There's nothing wrong with people who don't. Like, I try not to make blanket statements. I'm going to try not to do that today. But there are certain stereotypes that exist for a reason, because there are trends, right? And there are groups of people or schools of fish, so to speak, that will birds flock to a certain paradigm or trend, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? I'm not here to judge anybody, but I do think we have to have discernment, which is close to judgment, but not really the same thing. It's not our job to place judgment over other people unless we're in a court of law or something like that. It is, however, our job to have proper discernment in regards to what we allow into our lives, our families, our person, because that also affects our families and our households and our communities on a broader scale. The butterfly effect is real. I've seen it in action, and I've talked about all of this, and I know that the videos get into a high strangeness area. But again, I'm not a doctor. No part of this is professional or legal advice of any kind or medical advice. What I'm going to do is try and defrag some of the symbolism that we're seeing manifest in our physical reality around us and reach the largest number of people possible. And by that, I mean, if I change my words or my verbiage, some people might say, well, that sounds new age, or that sounds like a different culture, or whatever people say. People, we judge a lot these days, on the internet especially. And we forget that people are made in the image of God and they have feelings, and feelings do matter. And I don't mean to run your life by emotions. It seems to me lately the problem seems to be extremism on both ends. For example, I said to someone the other day, why don't you do this? For years and years, I've just asked you to do this way. It makes me happy and comfortable. Please just do this. It's such a little thing. I know I do nothing. Like it's always to that extreme, right? No, that's not what I said. I am noticing also a degradation in certain individuals. And I want to make it very clear again, this video is not to judge anybody. It's not to throw anyone specific under the bus, but I do have to use examples to relay what I'm speaking about. And public figures are public figures, and they put themselves out there to a certain extent. So sometimes I will use celebrity figures to point to a spiritual sickness in one way or another that I believe is affecting our society. This is me doing my part. I've also given up and denied myself a lot of things that I used to love, trying to do my part here. So where to start? So first we're going to start with a little high strangeness regarding my testimony, and I will get to sharing the screen in just a minute and showing you a couple of things and pointing to a couple of things. But I don't want to, again, I don't want anybody to make any hasty judgments about where this video is going to go, because it is going to be a little weird. They all are, though. I try to show the correlation and connections in all of the topics. Sometimes people miss them, though. So, and sometimes there are things I can't say. And if you're ready to see them or know them, if you have the eyes and ears too, then you will. Sometimes it's planting seeds and you won't understand something I'm talking about for a time in your own life yet, right? Now, also the last thing, for end days and end times and doomsday, like prophecy type things, I don't soak myself in those types of things. It just so happens in our daily life here, we have a lot of things that are reminding me of those times that we are told about. And for me, anything I read, not just biblically, but any book that I read, I don't really read twice, except for books in the Bible, because I don't forget them. I'll forget my keys. I'll forget why I walk in another room if I change rooms for some strange reason. But things that I read, pictures in my mind of my memories, things people wore, how they smelled, stories that I read, I just don't forget them. And so that's why that's why I've seen, I guess, so much media and read a variety of different things, is because I'm looking for something new, right? Something fresh. But I'm using that to see what's happening around us, and I can't help but point to these things. However, I do believe the glass is half full. We are told to live abundantly, to prosper. That does not mean, I don't mean money there. We are told to go forth and multiply, have families, tend to the land, grow our food, grow a garden, water the garden, right? Water the garden that is our family. These are things that are good, and we know this inherently in our heart. The final thing is, I heard some things said today about this, this hot topic, controversial term regarding Christian nationalism. And I guess it falls under a really nasty word here in the US that starts with a T. Again, I don't know what words set off the algorithm today, so I'm just going to be careful. Like I said, I've taken all my little disclaimers and they're up there, because I'm going to talk about a couple people who are high profile as well. And please remember, this is spiritual defragments. This is speculation. and logic, and some is just answers I've received throughout meditation of the last several years, and it's starting to all coalesce and culminate and come together. And again, it's not a big deal. This is just me doing my part, and thanks for being here with me. So several years ago, probably 2020. Now, I thought when my life went haywire in 2018, 2019, I kind of thought the tribulation started then. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. And I really believed at that point that there was some type of spiritual rapture that occurred because my whole family had changed, friends had changed, people that I've, people around town have changed. Like, what's that Sesame Street song? Who are the people in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood? Who are the people in your neighborhood? Like, you just get to know people, right? Especially if you're a female. And again, I'm not degrading men here, at least not yet. I'm doing my best these days. I probably shouldn't have said that, but anyways, sorry, Lord. Sorry, guys. I've had a really hard road with the males the last several years, so it can tend to make you a little jaded, but I'm doing my best, and I pray for my enemies, so I think, of course, that helps me too. So anyways, I thought that the tribulation had started. I still believe that we are possibly in the tribulation now, or that it's at least the time of sorrows. If we are in tribulation, we would be right at the halfway mark now. Like, this summer would be halfway. So around 2020, I started making reference, and this is because I've had correspondence with individuals. They never said that they were, well, not all of them, most of them never said that they were quote unquote hybrids, that they had different DNA. Because yes, I do believe, it says they were here before the flood and after the flood. I believe that the giant gene is a recessive gene, mostly. I believe that has been hidden in plain sight, and I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. I think they're the people that we meet each day on the screen. Some of them, for whatever reason, I have a radar for these individuals. It's very possible. My own birth has been kind of mysterious to me, so it's very possible that, wow, I just realized one of the people I'm going to talk about today, I have something strange in common with their birth story, so that's weird. It kind of just hit me. Hold, please. Let me make a note. Oh, man, did I? There it is. Yes, I do have little notes because I'm a geek that way, and I forget things because I remember so much and stuff so much into my brain. People think I'm just like a stuffing head like Winnie the Pooh. Okay, so what was I talking about? Yeah. We both had two names. We were both named twice by our parents. And I don't mean a first and a middle name. I mean like a whole different name. So anyways, a couple years ago, now for whatever reason, I have radar for these people. And let me be very clear. I'm not judging everybody. Okay. The majority of these individuals that I've dealt with can be pretty nasty. They're literal vipers. I don't know that they can help it. I don't know that it's their fault. Very well might just be their nature. But at the same time, I also know that we're told not to argue about bloodlines, that in the end they don't matter, and that you can call all who call out to the Lord in their day of need shall be saved. So having said that, I'm not out to hurt anyone here. This is strictly about saying, hey, a lot of us have a common enemy. My main goal is to do no harm. I'm a pacifist, but if I do harm with words, that cannot be helped. And if you're someone who takes offense to words, this definitely is not the channel for you. And I won't be offended if you bounce. Is anyone even here? Hey, thanks for being here. I'll turn the comments on in a minute. Just give me a minute to like kind of sink into things here. So most of you who had followed the original channel a couple of years ago, I had made this terminology, this nickname for certain hybrids. Now, again, I don't hate everybody in the rainbow community. For example, okay, I have relatives in there that I love very much and that are very smart and sweet and charming individuals. This is about the spirit behind it and the literal, what we are told is called evil spirits in the book. It says the original hybrids died in the flood, most of them, and that they shall walk the earth, being called and referred to as evil spirits. Spirit meaning, think of that as meaning something invisible in this context. Okay. Again, we start with the superficial and then we dig a little bit deeper. Okay. So I gave a name to these hybrids, right? And again, I don't hate them all. I have some that I know I have dealings with that I talk to that I think are very charming and have a strong work ethic and that are kind people. Okay, so again, I want to be very clear that it's not my place to judge. I can't condemn anyone to hell, right? I'm not God. That's not what I'm doing. When I say judgment, that's what I mean. However, we are supposed to use discernment and know what time it is. We're not supposed to walk around here blind, or God wouldn't have given us eyes. Our eyes, the physicality here is supposed to help us as well as hide certain things and conceal them so that we can refine our instincts and our intuition and our spirit, right? Our genuine spirit, because I believe soul is the culmination of all three of those things. I was raised Catholic. I know how people feel about the Catholic Church. I'm not going to get into that right now. All are welcome here, even Muslims. And yes, I love you all. I don't hate anybody, okay? But when it comes to morality right now and when it comes to truth, I am very staunch because I used to never lie. And the second that I started being disingenuous to myself and then disingenuous to others, my life and the lives of those that I loved the most were greatly affected. And so again, this is partly my own penance. There's a reason I don't use specific names. Again, there's a spirit at work here, and that's what matters the most. And I'm going to try and be very tactful because I'm going to touch on a couple things and a couple individuals who are very controversial. And I'm going to use as much sensitivity as I can because I see other people out there making videos about them and the feuds people have on YouTube. And they are big people and their channels are monetized and nothing gets done, right? I'm just a girl. I don't have sponsors. I'm just a woman, whatever. So in 2020, I started calling the ones that I dealt with that were cruel, hateful, sadistic, and what's the other word? Masochism? I don't know. I'll just say sadistic again. Narcissistic, sadistic, immature hybrids, people who have mixed DNA at this point. I gave them a nickname, and I called them Nephilim Brats. And yes, this is true. And I know people are going to look at this stuff and they're going to say, BS, you can't have so many things in your personal life that are directly related to what we're seeing happen in media and the world, the larger world. All I can say is I've looked at it that way because I'm not a special person. All I can say is each of our lives has instances and occurrences in it where one or the other is trying to reach us, either the spirit of God or the spirit of the other. And we don't always hear it. Sometimes we do, though. And we don't always see it. But sometimes we notice those synchronicities. So I'm not saying that I'm special or anything like that. I'm trying to use what happens in my life to somehow explain to you guys what may be happening in your own and how to avoid it and how to pray against it without doing harm and things of that nature, and learning about your own personal consent and why that matters and it's vital. All right, so a couple years ago, I started calling some of them because they've been very cruel to me. Some of them have made channels about me, and yes, they are hybrids, and I know this. And I told them I would come out and say it if they didn't leave me alone. At this point, I don't really care. You have things going on in TikTok. People are coming out with this. There is disclosure happening right now, but nobody's believing it. They're allowing you to see all these things for a reason, because then they're going to say, well, you didn't do anything. That's how they work, man. You didn't do anything about it, guys. You just let it happen. You let it happen. You wanted steak in the Matrix. You just let it happen. Most of them don't watch TV and movies. I find that fascinating, and I know why they don't. Is because they know what's going on with them right now, and they know what they are. Some of them they'll watch. Some certain things they'll watch, but just for like jollies. But a lot of them aren't watching certain things right now for a very specific reason, and I've talked about that as well. So around 2020, I started calling the Nephilim who like to harass me. I call them Nephilim Brats. Nephi Brats is my little moniker for them, because they're so pleasant. And so I just had to touch on that, because what is Brat's summer? I apologize if this is lagging. It is an older device. I'm doing the best I can. It's an unapologetic party or messy girl. Like, she's a mess. Party girl. Like, I can't even explain this, because we've all been this girl at one time or another. Most of us anyway. Aesthetic for the summer based on the vibes of Charlie XCX. C is a 3, remember that. And then you have 10, 3, 10. It's almost like abracadabra there. What do they call that? Let me turn your comments on, gang. Sorry about that. Thanks for being here. If you are still here, I appreciate it. And I don't know how to turn the dark theme on this, so good morning, Jen. Glad to hear what you have to say. I'm glad to see you. Awesome. Thanks for being here. So, Brat's summer. Yeah, and now Kamala Harris, I guess, is using it as her slogan. Listen, guys, this is so weird for me, because I told you about the Stormy thing, and about how an individual named Stormy was talked about by my spouse's alleged best friend from high school. And he also knew a lot of things. He said, we'll be enemies in a year. And a year after that, CV started, and everybody started acting all bizarre. Nobody wanted to hang out. And I mean, that started before CV was announced, before the Rona was announced. And I'm going to touch on that in a minute, too. Let me write it down so I don't forget. Okay. Sorry. Shoot, and I forgot where I was at. Anyways, yeah. It's one of those days. Everything has been very messy in my life, so I can relate to this. Stormy, yeah. So he told me that we'd be enemies in like a year, and then all that started, and we literally are, or whatever, and I don't quite know why. He also brought up a lot of things, and again, I told you how God just kind of highlighted certain things for me. I can't even explain it. At that time, there was also a substance around, so I was very open to certain things in my mind. Praise God that he had his hand on me. Praise my Grammy for having me baptized as a child, because I believe that is literally pretty much all that protected me at that time. The goal is to get as many people as possible possessed. But first, in order for that to happen, the current spirit that's residing in the body has to leave. And we're going to talk about these departed souls that I believe have already left the building, so to speak, have already left the earth. And we're going to talk about that. And there's a reason I use a lot of analogies and a lot of parables. There is also something in the book that tells us very specifically that the ones who cannot understand parables are the hijackers of God's children. They are the ones who call themselves God's children, but are in fact the synagogue of Satan, aka who are also, again, progeny of these fallen angel beings and women. So yeah, it's a lot of heavy stuff, and I know people think it's fake or whatever. If it's fake, they're doing a very good job of synchronizing this pretty much worldwide. If I can believe what I've seen on the internet in other chat rooms and stuff, sometimes I sit back, I don't say anything. There are a lot of stories out there right now that are very similar, a lot of targeted individual stories right now that are very similar. I believe we've been dealing with covert persecution for a couple of years now, several years. I believe it's going to go very overt very soon. That's another reason that I do this, and I have a sense of urgency about it. I believe God wanted me to do this. That's why I do. I at least try to be obedient these days. I fail all the time. Let me be very clear. Okay. I am not special. I'm a wretched, wretched person who has done some wretched things in my life. And the sad thing is I did them out of some type of self-destructive wanting to be loved, but hating myself at the same time. And I totally didn't even think about the people around me because I didn't think nobody loved me, and I didn't think that it would hurt anybody. So yeah, what I find funny too is when I went to the verses I'm going to show you in a minute. The last time I touched on any verses, it was the same book, and I think it was Revelation 7 or something like that. So we're still, like, everything's moving along pretty steadily. Because, yeah, the last bookmark I have here, the last little pasty note, is chapter 2, and the last, like, few highlights are, like, 7 and whatnot. So, yeah. All right. That's enough rambling. Again, all this stuff is related, and I tell you about it so that you can look around your own life and town and community and say, okay, I'm not alone in this. Other people are noticing these changes. And let me be very clear too. Dionysus, a lot of other channels aren't mentioning this in relation to the Olympics. He is the demigod, the fake god, the deity, the little g god. Because again, I do believe we should show these beings respect, like the angels and the fallen angels, the fallen watchers. Like nature, right? Like, you can't win a battle with the ocean, so you shouldn't try. That's kind of how I feel about it. I'm not trying to start with them per se. I am trying to appeal to them and God at the same time and say, whoa, we're still here. We're in the middle of all this. Most of us are not consenting, at least not knowingly, to what is going on. Can we have like a time out here and talk to the coach, or like what's going on? Anyways, I just find it very interesting that the Stormy thing was related to my personal life, that this individual had a very specific substance around that some of us were partaking of. And I will talk about that in a separate video about why that should be avoided. My tone has completely changed in the last 4 years, and not for the better. A lot of people seem completely oblivious to it. Like, if you watch, like, for example, something we can both look at in reference, because I don't know the people you know, but if you watch, like, the RNC, and I'm not getting on Republicans or Democrats, I'm not on any of those gravy trains, and I don't want to be. I like to observe, right? And I participate and join in things when it's as honest as possible, or I can discern that, like, it's not harmful, right? And that there's going to be maybe good fruit bore from it. But if you watch that rally, how people were behaving, like, I am so flabbergasted. I've never been this speechless in my life to look at my fellow man and say, that's not normal human behavior. I don't trust anything anywhere. It's not just politics, like anywhere. I trust nothing. Even my own eyes, I know, can deceive me. The only thing I trust is God, is the maker. Like, that's it. And believe me, 10 years ago when I was doing makeup tutorials, I never in a million years thought that I would be doing this. And so many people have tried to hijack my story and my testimony and like make money off of it. And, it's, the whole thing's gross, everything that's happening. There are so many of us who are Truman shows, and they've turned us into some type of entertainment. And I honestly don't even know if I want to know at this point how deep it goes, but I just think it's gross. And how people were acting so immature at that rally, at these rallies, and honestly, how many fake people there are, like literal, like how much AI and CGI are being used. Like the Olympics don't look like they ever looked, at least like the ceremonies and stuff. Some of that is very poorly done. The 12, Last Supper thing everybody's upset about, it didn't even look real. I say to myself, I don't trust people like I used to. Yeah, I used to be so naive. And that's the problem. Like, that's one good thing like I got going for me. God gave me such a huge heart. And so I know that if nothing else, because I'm not a smart person, if nothing else, I know that Christ told us that love covers a multitude of sins. So I'm trying to do and speak from a place of love. And I know that everybody, especially people that I work with, or especially younger people, they don't always think that I'm speaking from love. But right now, it is a time to be real with people, especially the youth, because they've been so manipulated and, quite frankly, weaponized. And I see a lot of sadistic bullying happening from my fellow man now. It's not just these people who are maybe not all human, right? And have a little bit of the mark of the beast within their DNA marker. But again, I don't believe God's going to keep anyone out of the kingdom for that. St. Christopher, it is said, was a giant, so to speak. But I want to get to something real quick, and then we're going to point to some current events. So I promise this won't take long. If you're somebody that doesn't like scripture, this won't be forever. Like, I'm just going to for a minute. I took a picture of my Bible, a physical Bible. It's from like the 60s, the early 60s. I have one that's from like 1918 as well. I've started collecting them. I just felt like it was something somebody should do. So, yeah. And I have like a lot of just old books, like fairy tale stories and herbs and, practical things like that. I think it's important. I think life goes on. I think we're told to multiply and have families. And I think if you have a family, you can be closer to the maker because you really understand what it means then to love and to do it by choice. You're choosing every day to love someone, even though you don't always like them, and you're choosing to put their needs ahead of your own. That is love. And I believe that's what our Maker did for us. And I think sometimes that gets a little twisted because we're seeing things darkly, and we're seeing things through an inverted mirror down here. And so sometimes the messages get skewed in our own brains just naturally, let alone with all the false teachers out there. Let me make it very clear. I'm not a biblical teacher, just a woman. My head is covered. I'm going to point to some things, right? Like, I didn't go to seminary. I'm not going to try and lie and say that I did. Now, I'm going to start at the top just for contextual sake. This is the sixth trumpet. It's called the Apocalypse. This is the book of Revelation. This is a Catholic Bible. The Catholic Bible came first. Please don't argue with me about the KJV right now. Again, I don't hate you. I don't hate anybody. I'm not like going to bash anyone over the head for their beliefs. I don't believe in doing that. I think we should be way past all that now. And I think those are some real problems that we have at this point in our society. So I'm doing everything that I'm doing to offset that, and to try and feed some good morals and ethics back into the AI algorithm that listens to everything we say. And sometimes when you're dealing with these people, these individuals, you have to understand that they're not completely of mankind. And so sometimes it is like dealing with a petulant child or a almost like a computer program, because it doesn't know how to process certain things you say. For whatever reason, it greatly understands sarcasm. Like that it gets. I don't know why they get that. I'm open-minded and open to any religious background or version of scripture. That's good. We should be firm in truth, though, right? Anything that we find that's true and can be proved out, even if it's maybe something that we end up having to change our own paradigm for, So the sixth trumpet is where I'm going to start. 13, and the sixth angel sounded the trumpet, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, loose the four angels who are bound to the great rivers Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosed who had been kept ready. God, I'm getting chills. Who had been kept ready for the hour and day and month and year, that they might kill the third part of mankind. And the number of the army of horsemen was 20,000 times 10,000. I heard the number of them, and 20,000 times 10,000. I know what that comes out to if you do the math, but I'm trying to think like parabolically. 20,000, because if you think of like what generation this is, right? 2024, it just kind of like, again, I pay attention to my instincts when I read certain things. Okay, I heard the number of them, and this is how I saw the horses in the vision. They who sat upon them had breastplates like to fire, and to hyacinth, and to sulfur. So breastplates like fire, is this telling us what colors they are? What color maybe their what is that called? Not their emblem, their sigil, seal, emblem, crest. Fire is orangey red. Hyacinth is a reddish flower, isn't it? Like reddish pink. And sulfur is orange, like lava. And the heads of the horses were like the heads of lions. How were they? Heads of horses were like heads of lions. So wait a minute, why are you using one thing to describe another? The heads of the horses, and the horses might just be what the army rides, right? An army comes in on horses, but their horses have heads like lions. Why do they have heads like lions? And from their mouths issued fire and smoke and sulfur. Again, I mentioned this in the most recent live, but I'm reminded of some kind of drone, like man-powered drone, or a tank, right? Because we say, how do you describe the horsepower of a car? Well, that's it, horsepower, right? Of an engine. That's why I think they had cars in biblical times, because they talk about that in, I want to say it's Ezekiel, but I could be wrong. Please don't quote me on that. Look it up yourself. So here we go. By these 3 plagues, and then they go on to describe that but like a plague. So their breastplates, like to fire, which burns, right? Hyacinth and sulfur, which smells. Fire burns. Sulfur smells bad. It also burns. Hyacinth. Somebody should look that up while I'm doing this, because I'm reading right now. But remember, let me underline that real quick in my book here. And yes, I mark all over my Bibles. I don't think it's sacrilegious at all. I think it's a good thing to do. Okay, so by these 3 plagues, the hyacinth, the fire, and the sulfur, right? And they're calling these things now on the breastplate plagues. Why are they plagues? Are they 3 different armies, maybe? So they carry 3 different plagues from the 3 different horsemen? Let's continue. By these 3 plagues, the third of the mankind was killed by the fire and the smoke and the sulfur which issued from their mouth. For the power of the horses is in their mouths and in their tails. Horses are what you ride into battle. The power is in their mouths and their tails. Man, it reminds me of a tank. For their tails are like serpents and have heads, and with them they do harm. And the rest of mankind, they who were not killed by these plagues, did not repent. So is there anyone, like, what happens to tribulation saints here? What's going on? Let's continue anyway. And the rest of mankind, they who were not killed by these plagues, did not repent of the works of their hands. Now you see I'm reading the highlighted part now, which relates to current events, which I will point to in just a moment. And the rest of mankind, they who were not killed by these plagues, did not repent of the works of their hands, so as not to worship the demons and the idols of gold and of silver and of brass and of stone and of wood, which can neither see nor hear nor walk, of their murders or of their sorceries or of their immorality, or of their thefts. So I'm going to go through this real quick and show you, I believe this is when prophecy really becomes obvious. Yes, this could be related to the economy, absolutely. But as I'm taught, and again, I was raised going to catechism every Saturday and church every Sunday, and it helped me a lot. It helped me learn how to study, learn how to read, learn how to interpret parables. And it also taught me things that some of the other churches miss, like there are 3 meanings to each verse usually. The physical, right? The physicals, what you can see, touch, feel, smell. Some type of timeline thing. It's either being prophetic or it's being generational, something that is cyclical and will happen over and over for a time. Or spiritual, right? So 3 is like the magic number for God. It's the number of the Trinity, and we each have an inner Trinity. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to this little part. This is another reason I love this Bible, is because right here on the bottom, it tells you what the church teaches. Now, I'm not saying I agree with this, but I'm just going to read a little part of this for you. Now it's saying, verse 15, who had been kept ready for the hour, the loosing of the angels would take place at a definite period, the year, month, day, and hour of which are known in accordance with the providence of God. Now, there's a lot of talk about the Euphrates drying up. Again, this talk started in 2012 too. I don't know if that was a dress rehearsal. I'm still trying to, I'm just like you guys. I'm just trying to navigate these choppy waters the best I can at this time. And I think, we have to be realistic about that, right? And don't get involved in battles we can't win and that we don't want to win. And you should be pacifist. Seek to harm none. Christ did not have weapons, man. He just didn't. Now, again, if you're a man and you got to protect your family, that's a little different. Like there are proper conduct in acts of war. The Art of War is a great book. Men used to have honor when fighting war, but this war that is being fought right now that nobody's talking about, there is no honor involved. None. There are people all over every country who have committed treason to join in with this UN, NATO, one world type thing. I'm not saying even if that's good or bad, really, at this point. All I'm saying is like secrets and deception are not a good thing. Now, if you're trying to protect national security, right, and you're trying to protect an individual or a group of individuals, no, you don't want to go out blasting off your secrets to everybody. There are things that should remain private. Again, just because I say one thing does not mean I agree with the extreme of that thing, okay? We really need to stop doing that. And again, I'm seeing this severe degradation in people. And that one verse of the Bible, everybody always asks, why is that there? Why is that incontinence thing at the end of the Bible? Man, I'm seeing it with people, and it's heartbreaking, and I don't even want to talk about it, and I won't talk about it at length, but things are bad, guys. And everybody asks me, well, what about the children? What do you think? Have you heard anything about what's going to happen with the children if they'll be raptured? Listen, number one, I hate to say this, but sometimes children are the most cruel of us, like legitimately. Number two, as the generations have gone on, we are told that there will be a generation of vipers. Not all of them. Again, I'm not making blanket statements, okay? I am not. Just hear me out, please. The other thing would be belief in God and the church has greatly decreased. So we're looking at an entire generation who have not been properly baptized or catechized. And I don't mean you have to be in the Catholic Church per se. I'm saying know the gospel. Teach them the gospel. Don't just counting numbers. This counting numbers thing, that reminds me of the enemy. That reminds me of Satan. Semyaza, Samael, whoever he is, whatever he is. That's what that reminds me of. To him, numbers matter. And I'm seeing a real degradation in people, like the TikTok clips that I do see, how people are behaving for money. They're not even trying to put out content anymore. They're not trying to enrich somebody else's day or share a talent. It's all money begging. And I just, again, it says a lot about what's happening inside of people, especially the way that they're starting to look on the outside. And so we're going to talk about a few of these things. All right, so first we're going to look at Summer Olympics. Just briefly, I just want to show you something. Every verse in the Bible, I believe at this point, is prophetic, unless somebody proves me wrong. But every verse I'm seeing is legitimately prophetic. It seems to be cyclical. Things are, God allows all the souls to choose him, and by the time everybody does, like, there has to be this cyclical thing taking place every 100 years or something. I honestly don't know. But I know that we don't know it all, and I know that the Bible is kind of basic, and I know that God did that for himself. God had to keep something for himself, so he had room to move in this time around our free will. He could not prophesy everything through the prophets, because that would be dangerous, right? You don't want to tell your enemy everything that you are going to do. Okay? So please remember these things. So what do you get in the Summer Olympics? Like, what do you get? What is all this for, guys? Do you know what the rings stand for? Do you know what any of this means? What are they after here? Now, first of all, true Christ followers, and again, I'm going to be very blunt, probably shouldn't watch the Olympics. Why? Because they're called the Olympics, because that's straight out of Roman Greek pantheons. That's why. Now, sports aren't bad on the face, right? Healthy competition, nothing wrong with that. Keeping your temple healthy, nothing wrong with that. There is a problem, though, when you are required as a part of that sport to knock the stuffing out of somebody else who is also made in the image of God. What do you see there? It's gold, right? So what metals are the metals made of that are in the Olympics? Well, they are silver, gold, and bronze. Oh, there he is. Thank you. A common garden plant widely used for its showy, fragrant, bell-shaped, six-lobe flowers. What color is it? Or brownish? Red or brownish? In the lily family. So it is what I thought it was. Red or brownish. I wonder if if it's used in, I'll be very careful here how I say this. I wonder if it's used in any Western medicine. Injectable type of medicine, if you know what I'm talking about. If you hear what I'm throwing at you there. Okay, so it was wild that I started calling the Nephilim Brats. That happened around 2020-ish, and now we have these Summer Olympics, and we have this talk of the metals, which are gold, bronze, and silver, which go with this verse in Revelation, or the book of John's Apocalypse, 9:20, and the rest of the mankind who were not killed by these plagues did not repent of the works of their hands, so as to not worship the demons and the idols of gold and of silver and of brass and of stone and of wood. Worship the demons. What demons do we worship? Well, some people are worshiping fallen angels. Some people are working with them. They think that magic is cool. I've shown you a couple of them, and I've mentioned a couple of them on here. They're coming to collect very soon. I hope everybody understands that. So what was the other thing I wanted to show you? Oh, okay. How's this doing right now? Ask yourself why it's called crypt. Why is it called crypt? Come on, open up. Let me see. Oh, there you go. Digital currency designed to work as a medium of exchange. And stop. through a computer network that is not reliant on any central authority such as a government or bank to uphold or maintain it. So again, who's going to maintain this? Artificial intelligence. Now, I have people telling me in my comment section, it's not what you think. That's just a marketing name. No, really, you don't understand who you're talking to. I do my research. I was a cell phone tech. I understand the fundamentals and the foundational elements that I need to know to understand the basics of this. And to still say I don't consent. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to participate in any of it. Greek mythos, hyacinthos, from a 40-some-year-old Britannica dictionary. Oh. To moderate the precious stone in... God, I can't see what you're writing. Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't even, change it because those things freaking stay there. A light violet, a precious stone in Latin. Really? That's wild to me. Hold on. Let me get rid of this. Get away. Oh, that's funny. Okay, we're going to go over here. We'll fix it. There. You can stay there. You? No, I want you gone. Go away. No. Remove. Okay. Now I should be able to read what you guys comment. I'm so sorry about that. How rude. I'm dealing with some technical issues here. You're like, yeah, right. She's here telling us she used to be a cell phone tech. Trust me when I say this is an old phone, so it's a little difficult. But Nokias are almost not hackable at all, so I love them. However, on the contrary to other asset classes like equities or commodities, sectors have not been officially defined as of yet, though abstract version of them exists. So here's the thing. It has nothing backing it. So far, it's just a rumor. It's a myth. It's like the emojis people spend their real checks on to donate to TikTokers. It's not real money, but it is real money. You're using your real money and then it's going nowhere. And your real money is actually backed by, at least not the same silver and gold it used to be backed by, but it's at least backed by something. Bitcoin is not backed by anything. Bitcoin Genesis block. Boy, blockchain reminds me a lot of slavery. And they're going to put it where? In your cryptocurrency. Yeah, I don't like the language at all. But again, this is also relating to that verse that we were just reading. They did not repent of the works of their hands, so as not to worship the demons. And I think that has a lot to do with a lot of different things right now. Everything that we put up. But I also believe it has to do with some of the people that we see on the screen. I don't think that they're people. And I'm trying really hard because a lot of them are in the YouTube community. A lot of them have channels. A lot of them are beloved by you. And a lot of them are purposely, in some way, leading us astray. I just haven't figured it all out yet because their channels are cool. A lot of these channels, they talk about the mud flood. I don't believe in the mud flood. I think that might have been Noah's flood. And it was just a lot more recent than we were told. A light violet to moderate purple. Hyacinthus, a flowering plant. I don't know who you are, but I love you. You're awesome. Thank you for helping. You are thorough too, man. You rock. Thanks. See, I'm a nice person. Not nice. I'm not a nice person. I can be nice and have manners, but I know that some of the young people I work with now might be a little I just don't think there's a lot of time left, and I think that our young folks have been greatly manipulated, and I think they are turning into bullies, a whole generation of bullies, and I don't think it's okay. It's awesome to see them work, that they work hard, but I've seen some behaviors in my own children who are now young adults, and we're going to have a whole nother generation of sadistic, abusive people, but it's going to be a lot worse than the last one. And I know the glass is half full, and I am optimistic, and I know who wins in the end. But getting there isn't always half the fun. And we've been greatly misled and lied to, and we are being taught by these ones who have no care for our welfare. In fact, they don't want our welfare to be good. I've talked, just not a lot. You'll remember if you think about it, I'm in Bedford, Virginia. Jeez, get out of there. Why do I keep doing that? Bedford, Virginia. I might. I just can't see your name now or your handle or anything. So yeah, it's a little wonky. All right, so now I'm going to get into some woo-woo territory. So as a background, real quick, I'm just going to say, we all know who this girl is, most of us. Now, she's a Mormon. All of the ones who end up on Dateline seem to be Mormons. I've talked about this ad nauseum. But I want to just give a brief. She was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences in July 2023 for the endings of her 2 own offspring. First of all, it was in a state park. We know how we feel about the state parks. Second of all, I think certain stories are tweaked and put out to give us information in a way that's subliminal so that we'll understand it at some point in time, but so that our enemies don't get it, okay? Other information, I believe, is being put out there by our enemies to mislead us and have us look in one direction and not another. What bothers me is there seem to be even people who work for the enemy are saying that they're on God's side right now. They believe that it's the tribulation right now, and so that concerns me. Oh, gotcha. Channel name 01, Michael B. That's funny. So you just changed your channel name? That's funny. Thank you so much. You are thorough. I apologize. Where was I? Oh, so some of these stories they're telling us are true and have truthful, honest elements. Not all of them. Okay. Her story now, she said that there were demons. I don't know. Will it be here? Will they show it in like Wikipedia? Same channel name you've always had. Really? That's funny. I remember Michael, but I don't remember that. They were sealed to each other while being married to other people. And I don't even know, like, that's so discouraging to me because some of the doctrine really intrigues me. And I feel like, honestly, let me be real, I feel like their church was kind of started. Lamech, I think, was a hybrid. I think he was a Nephilim character. But again, they have truths and they know things that we don't know. Don't stress it. So what did... Now, again, the media will glamorize this, right? And they basically want to say, she thinks, allegedly, she had said something to the effect that she needed to end, and I'm using a specific word there to avoid the other words. She was going to end all of the people in the zombie apocalypse so that we would be safer, or something to that effect. She believes that they are possessed. Now, right, the Mormons mix truth with lies. Right, exactly. That, and I don't think they were just people. I mean, I'm being real. I think Lamech. I read that book on the other channel by Ryan Peterson, and he did this whole family bloodline thing with Lamech and showed that he was likely, one of the giants. Have heartburn, sorry. All right. So she said basically that people are possessed. Now, am I saying that's what's going on with people? I think that people have had their spirits have left the building, and I'm going to show you a few. Now, I've done this before. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to add a couple different people because, again, I'm going to use an example to show you very visibly that I think these people are the ones on the screen. I think that I don't think they get out as much as regular people because they're different, because their genes are different. And I think that one way they socialize is on the screen. I do not think they're all evil or wicked. I want to be very clear about that. But I do think something has happened to a lot of people, especially people maybe who are holy or living in a state of grace or sanctified. Okay. Some of us, if we're honest with ourselves, 2019, 2020, we weren't. Now, do I believe in the rapture? Yes and no. I believe that there is a verse in scripture that talks about the rapture, but it's not one that anyone ever references, and I don't know why. It says right here, right before where he lets the angels out of the Euphrates, that the first thing the four angels do when he dispatches them to the four corners of the earth is to gather his elect. So I'm going to show you. I told you already that I don't think it's completely this Ozempic they're talking about. I am not a doctor. I'm not trying to be a doctor. I think there's a few things happening here, a few possibilities, and I'm going to give them, and I'm going to be as sensitive as I can. She was so vibrant with her last pregnancy. She looked gorgeous. She was very big, so it was probably very hard, but she looked absolutely gorgeous. She also did the peace sign while she was pregnant, and she's very thin, very painfully thin. So again, let's try and maintain some balance here. Gluttony is one of the 7 deadly sins. We're not supposed to eat too much. The first sin, if you think about it, was eating. I think that some of the things we call food here are very seriously not food at all. I told you about that movie. I even did a mini review of it about ruining the image of God, and it has Kristen Stewart and Viggo, the guy from Lord of the Rings, who we all fell in love with. It had him, and they were doing, it was just this very bizarre movie, but one of the plot lines in it was that people were eating plastic, and it was changing their bodies. I literally think that some of the things we are told to eat are not food. And I know that sounds wild, but I saw that with the Uber commercial where the Stifler's mom from American Pie, she's like, eats the foods, not the something or others, right? Where people are getting their Uber deliveries and they're eating toilet paper and other things. And she's like, no, eats the foods. Again, this degradation in society, if you look around, it is very, very steadily, and right now it's like a freight train. It's very swift. So I think that we eat things way too much. I think eating 3 times a day is a form of gluttony because if you think about it, everything we are told to do here is wrong or bad for us. We have found out that we've been lied to about almost everything. Almost everything we've been completely lied to about. That's where I think the Mormons are onto something. I mean, if they had hybrids in the beginning of that church, and that's how it started, because every time you see polygamy, you see the fallen ones. Every single time. Same thing happened with John D. way back in the day. Same thing. Fallen angels get into the story. They start messing around with that. Next thing you know, they're told to swap wives. It is just what they do. They promote adultery. They started it in the garden, separating Adam and Eve. There is enmity between man and woman as a whole, and there has been since then. At the same time, we wouldn't have had our free will if Eve did not take from that tree. So, I think that they're doing a lot of damage control right now. Talking about like this Ozempic and demon syndrome, right? There's a lot of damage control about what people look like. Now look at this. What is pillow face? I just heard of this the other day. It's what happens when you get all these fillers and your face gets to looking really different. Wow, she's like literally a completely different person. That's wild to me. And also this can happen, like you can see the opposite in like Jessica Simpson, because she obviously had work done on her lips, and it makes them look even bigger when there's weight loss, and these things settle into different parts of your body. This, I believe, is quote unquote sin. This is sin against your temple, okay? I think this is the most physically deadly sin that we have right now, as far as pollution and that type of thing goes, is the stuff we're putting in our bodies. I don't believe in eating 3 times a day. I'd be miserable. Yeah, me too. Another story. That's when I can for a number. Lately, I've done better than that. I need to do I do intermittent fasting as well. I've not been great at it since I started working with food again. But still, I don't really eat more than a meal, and that'll be throughout the day. So I try not to. But anyways, they're doing a lot of damage control about like demon syndrome and what these different things are and all these different possibilities for why people look like this. All right. Ashley Judd too, like she really looks bizarre, dude. Courtney Cox in her she was in a Prime show, and dude, she's wicked looking. And all I can think about with their lips like that, and I know again, you have to understand some of the things they show us on screen is not too far from the truth. Allegedly, witches are bald. I don't know that I agree with that, because I know a lot of people who have like hair loss due to thyroid issues, myself in point. So I don't believe that part is true. My Grammy also had hair issues. My dad. But I do believe that your physical appearance will start to resemble what's going on inside of you if you're not feeding your spirit and soul. And when I see their lips, I'm reminded of this. See, because she looks beautiful, but she has like these slits in her mouth, right? And the sides. Just like, I mean, it's not too far from the true her. And Lady Gaga has the same thing. The question is, though, what or who are they? Are some of them droids? Now, we've talked about this. There's a lot of glitches happening, and a lot of things have been happening for a long time now. Any type of illusion is considered witchcraft. Now, when God said, "Suffer not a witch to live" in the Bible, do I agree with that? Again, I think witches are completely different than what your priests tell you. I think that fairy tales got witches more correct than what our priests say today. And you'd be very hard pressed to find a man who really is holding on to the faith, a holy, godly man. A lot of them don't believe in the demonic spirit. A lot of them don't believe in the hierarchy anymore. A lot of them have totally bought into the cult of psychology. And that is a lot of witchcraft. And I've explained that before. And I have a background in the occult. So I do sadly kind of know what I'm speaking about here. So now we're going to look at somebody else. And again, I'm leading somewhere here. She is looking different too, right? They're calling it the Ozempic thing. Ask yourself though, why are they getting so thin? Why don't they want to eat? Because obviously, no matter what they say, this thing, if they really did take that, is causing them to have no appetite. Like they're not eating. And I think we've been lied to. Christ went 40 days, man. And I've seen in the news recently, again, we have the good guys using technology too, and they're putting out certain stories just so it gets into our subliminal cavity, and we're like, wait, what? Because I'm seeing a lot of things being disproven that we've been told for years. And most of the things we've been told are just to keep us in this system, on the system, right? Yeah, she allegedly, they're calling it Ozempic face. Again, I'm not a doctor. The disclaimers are in the description. This is a societal issue and problem. Other platform people with bigger platforms talk about these things all day long. Please don't come at me. I know the law. So they're calling it Ozempic face. Again, I'm not a doctor. We've looked it up before. We can look it up again if you'd like. There's something else going on here, though, because look at her. The vibrancy is gone. And I know people get older. This is not what I'm talking about, man. I've dealt with old people. I've taken care of them. Some of them are the most lively spirited people you'll ever meet. And a lot of them are awesome. Well, a lot of them, not all of them. Some of them are old witches, and that's no joke. Something has happened to her. Something has happened to a lot of people, and I see it in the face of people in the face of loved ones as well. Look how vibrant she is. Normally, as a normal woman. Whether you think she's good, bad, ugly, fat, thin, whatever. She's normally a pretty spirited, feisty gal. Something changed. Now, again, I'm not saying life happens. Her son is ill, allegedly. She is not looking great. She's gone through it, right? But I do also believe that rock stars are related to the fallen ones. I don't recognize her. Exactly, dude. Exactly. Like, it shouldn't. What is happening? Like her spirit looks like it left the building. Like, it's just not there anymore. But it's happening to so many people at the same time, rapidly. Like, even Madonna's pillow face. Like, what? Okay, so obviously we got a lot of filter play happening with her too. So we got to be careful what we show, don't show. It was obviously a bad decision to get this done right before you had to be on TV, but they did the same thing to Tom Cruise. He allegedly had a lot of Botox beforehand. I don't know if I believe this. Look at the ears. Like, are you kidding me that it would no. Like, she just looks bigger. Her whole body, everything. And I don't mean fat, okay? So please don't come at me if you have an ED and this is triggering. Trust me, we all have issues at this point in time. I'm talking about her build. Yeah, dude, she don't look. How many people are playing the part of Madonna? Like, what's happening here? Or are they eating something? It's rejuvenating them, but it takes the time to set in. If you believe the rumors about, like, Dr. Sleep and adrenochroma. And again, I'm putting theories out there. I'm not saying what it is. I think we got a few different things happening here. But again, I will say she was at least a semi-vibrant woman. Now it looks like something is gone. And let me be honest, I've seen this thing with masks too, and I don't know if they're using that again as some type of cover or if it's legit. I tend to think it's legit because of the people that are around me that I've seen. I tend to think that the latex mask thing is real because I want to show you something. What happens if, the Princess Leia, for example, they had insurance on her through her movie company. That way, if she died, they could collect. Why would you do that? Well, because basically when you sign a contract, the movie studio owns you. What happens if somebody dies and you don't want them dead yet? Or maybe they're too much of a problem. They're spending too much of their own money. They're too opinionated. They want to keep control of their own estate and songs and artistic property. We'll get rid of her. We don't need her. We'll have somebody else play her part. Because this right here looks like Megan Fox. It just hit me. It looks like Megan Fox. It does not look like Madonna. This don't look like her either. It looks like somebody playing the part of Madonna. I don't know if it's a mask. I don't know if I don't know what's going on there. And they're obviously covering the neck. Remember the Biden mask people would show? Dude, what is going on with people? All at the same time, like, why? What is happening? Okay, I'm going to show you someone else. You think I'm just making it up? I'm just picking at women? Dude, I love women. I love men. I love people. And that's why I do this, because I love you. You don't have to believe me. It's okay. I know, God knows, and the love is still getting to you one way or another. All right, so she allegedly has a disease. Again, I'm not picking on her or anything like that. I recently took a picture. And of course, I can't show it to you because it's on my other phone, I think. But what I will do is I'll post it in the community tab. There was a short, because she's going to be performing again. I think probably in Vegas. She's one of the Vegas entertainers. There was a short of her spinning her arms around and around and around in like this locomotion type thing. And every time her hands went above her, she had the 666 sign she was doing with her hands. Okay? These people, no matter how cool you think they are or whatever, anyone that's on the screen, I don't even know if they're real people anymore. She was gorgeous when she first started. She's a Canadian singer. There's something going on with Canadian in America too. Like, I don't know why people always laugh when they say they're going to Canada. Like, I don't know. Something's really weird with the way our land masses are too, because something is just not matching up with the way people travel and how fast things get to me from certain areas, but not from other areas. Like, there's something really wild happening. Anyways, enough of that rant. So she allegedly has something. I don't want to pick on her or anything like that. I'm just going to say again, if you have all that money in the world, right? And she's always been thin. She's someone who's kind of always been thin, but this is on a whole new scale. And again, it's at the same time we're seeing this same dramatic effect take place with Sharon Osbourne and Jessica Simpson. Right, right. Thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, here's another one, right? And we can also look at this other person who is painfully, painfully skinny. And I know the lady from 8 Passengers, who got in big trouble for like keeping dinner from her kids. Hello, you're not going to die if somebody keeps dinner from you. You're really not. I'm amazed at these like internet sleuths I see now. And the sad thing is these people can't, and I know because I have them in my life. Please remember, I have these mixed genetic people in my life. They cannot have their own children. This is why you see so many aunts and relatives raising other children, is because somehow, some way, they got those children off of the parents. And they do it on purpose because they can't have their own. And I'm just being honest. Or they'll have surrogates. All right. And again, I'm not saying some people, yes, just have medical issues because we have a lot of pollution happening. There's allegedly radiation happening. I'm also wondering if that might be playing on a part in why nobody wants to eat. Maybe there's something going on with us regarding radiation and they have not told us. And that was going to be my last more logical conclusion with all this, and I did not want to give word to it. I did not really want to even say it. I'm just saying, if it's a real thing, it's possible that might be what's happening. But I'm going to be honest, like, even in the beginning, some of these people, like Dylan, was having a real good time at first when he was just doing his grift and it was fun and he thought it was like, he treated it like an acting job, right? And again, I'm not getting into the mocking of women. I will do more serious videos on certain topics and give them the time and the platform, or at least time and effort that they deserve individually. Okay. But I'm not going to call him a woman because he's not. So I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to lie. Like, I make it a habit not to lie anymore. If I can help it, right? Like, now it's different if I had to protect somebody or keep somebody safe. You know, there are situations where certain things. But at first he looked Like he was enjoying things, right? He is another one who is painfully thin. Painfully. Like, I don't even know. I don't know exactly what's happening with people. But I do know from my own life when a certain substance was introduced, it made me easy pickings for the demonic. Something was going on telepathically. And I'm really wondering if with some of these people, their true spirit, like the spirit God gave them, like what made Dylan Dylan, what makes me me, what makes you you, if some of these people, like their spirits just left the building. Like if there was really a spiritual rapture somehow, some way. And you could say that both ways. Did they go up? Did they go down? I don't know. I'm just saying the eyes, man, there's nothing there with some people anymore. And it's very sad and it's very heartbreaking. So please don't assume that I'm making light of any of this because I'm truly not, I promise you. Okay. So this next one is very serious. She's a very controversial topic. She's a human being with feelings, a heart, a mind, and I'm tired of seeing people who are being so nasty to her, and I'm so sick of internet bullies that I can't even give voice to it. But I have to use her as an example because she too, something has gone. And people will say, well, when you don't eat, you lack nutrients and your brain isn't as clear, you don't have as much clarity. Again, careful with your Western science because America, at least, we have been purposely miseducated. Purposely. They don't want our well-beings for us. And there are enough voices and bots in the comment channels that I know that will go against what I'm saying. I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. But in my own journey, I know that when you have a proper physician who cares about you, they actively listen to you, right? And so that you start to compromise and that you're your own best friend in the doctor's office. You are your advocate, okay? We have to be our own advocates. We have to do our own research. We have to do our own homework. And sometimes we have to be advocates for other people. I have nothing but empathy for this individual because I know what it's like to be locked away, to not be able to drive, to not travel, and to not really fit in. So I have a lot in common with this person. Maybe not on the face of things. When I show you who it is, you're going to be like, no, you're nothing like each other. But in certain ways we are. So when I show this person, it is not to pick on them at all. I just want to use her as an example to show you a couple of things and to say that, yes, we're not all the same here, but we all should have to we do have to coexist. We should be more peaceful. We should be pacifists, and we shouldn't try to force anyone into our religion, no matter what religion that is. God wouldn't want that. Jesus doesn't work that way. So I'm going to show this person. I don't even know if I'll say her name. So her dad, I guess, was a financial guru. All right. Financial guru. Her mom, I have a theory about her mom, but I'll show you. I don't drive and I don't want to. Same here. Same here. I don't drive, don't want to, but like to travel. Now, I don't know if somebody took her old picture and stood it next to the new one, or if that's a completely edited and fabricated picture. But she has okay, so somebody's actually showing what she would look like if she had more. Unfortunately, this allegedly is what she looks like. And you can tell by the way she moves that it's not photoshopping. That's really what she looks like, okay? I'm not promoting this lifestyle. I'm not promoting any type of eating either way. I have nothing but love for this girl, and I don't even know her, okay? But I want to show you a few things to say I'm not just whistling Dixie, and I'm not talking out my wahoo. And yeah. So this is what she really looks like when she's healthy. She is a beautiful young lady. And the internet has ruined her. Not ruined, right? Like, I don't want to say ruined her life, maybe. Isolated her completely, secluded her. She already had issues, though. And I'm going to show you a couple of things. Do you remember what I told you about people whose genetics are different, about the ones that I have met who told me they were legitimately like fallen angels? Now, do I believe that? Not quite. However, this person gave me very specific information that since then has come out to be true. And I've told you I've taken care of people like this in the nursing home as well. They always have teeth issues. When she talks, it's hard to understand her sometimes. And everybody keeps asking, like, why does she slurp like that? Well, now she does, because I think what she has is dentures, or her teeth are just sadly too big for her mouth right now because of how small her body mass is. How small her, God, I don't even know how to say it and not be offensive, because anything you say can be taken out wrong, right? Okay, so she is a lovely young lady, but now she is 30. She has done this for like 10, 15 years. She's still living. How is she, and not to be disrespectful, but what we are told, how is she still alive? No one's ever really seen her eat. She made an effort to eat in one of her more recent videos. It was a horrible thing to see. And I know from my own self that when I fast, food is hard to go back on. And because I don't eat animals any longer, but every now and again I do, because again, it's like an addiction. It's not, somebody made fun of me. Oh, I'm a vegetarian sometimes when it suits me. Honestly, it's like an addiction. I fall off the wagon sometimes. I think I had bacon. I had 2 pieces of bacon on a sandwich the other day with a fried egg, and I don't eat eggs anymore either. I eat beans, I eat pasta, I eat bread, I eat pizza, right? I eat salad, a lot of protein bowls and bean bowls. So that's what keeps me alive. I don't know, from what we're told, how she is still going. All right. But she has been around for like a long time. Now, again, you guys know I'm very observant. I watch things that nobody else watches. When they say to look left, I look right. So I checked in on her. I wanted to see if she was still alive, and she is. And so I prayed for her. And no, it wasn't me being morbid. I legitimately wanted to see how people's journey has gone since 2017, because she was 5150'd right around the same time that it seemed like people wanted to do that with me. They were giving me this substance, leaving me with certain people, and then being upset when I acted a certain type of way. All of these things have been a setup. A lot of these people who are doing this to other people, not in this case, like I'm not going to specify that, but I'm just saying a lot of this has been set up. Something happens when they take you away from your family, like the people that love you, as to where it could be easier to change you. And I don't want to say how that occurs, because I genuinely don't know. All I know is that a lot of people go into jail, come out completely different people. My spouse was gone for 3 days. I told you, he come completely different, man. He just wasn't him. Just not him. Okay. For some reason, that is when these types of things occur, is when families are separated or people go on vacation alone. Told you I went down to Florida alone. Come back, everybody's different. A couple months later, he went to jail. He was completely different. She's hanging out with somebody right now. I'm not going to mention the person because the person is very vindictive, and I don't know the person from Adam. I don't know him personally. I'm not going to talk about him. But I will say it does not seem to be that she's around friends who have her best interest at heart, and I would I would even say that I think she is the next sacrifice for this individual, because this is a high profile individual. And for some reason, he doesn't want her around, but he wants her around. And I legitimately think it's because he wants more money or popularity. And so why not befriend somebody? Separate her from her mom, because I haven't seen her mom in any of the videos in months. And I went to some channels and I looked, like, I'm not just speaking out my wahoo. I think that they may have done something with her mom, and people play different parts. Now remember, this happened to Bam Margera too. Bam Margera from Assholes, he also was 5150. He's had his social media accounts hijacked from him for a couple of years now. Again, almost the exact same thing that almost happened to me. Who did it to him? His wife and her friend. This person who said, hey, I got this new treatment plan. Why don't you just put yourself under my guardianship and I can get you free treatment? And that way we know that your money will be safe. That they're doing all of this on purpose. They are trying to get the most they can out of every person, because Satan or whoever is collecting at this point. And it's going to take a lot for the AC, the Antichrist, to become possessed completely or fully, for this person to take control of things. And we're seeing it take place. Like right now, this is why people are acting like they're in some type of trance, is because they are. So I think she's, sadly, I am worried for her health. Please pray for her. But I do think that she might be the next sacrifice. I hope not. I hope that's not what happens. But unfortunately, again, this is what these famous people are doing. And if you look with your eyes and listen with your ears, your spiritual ears, you should be able to see some of the things I'm talking about. Now, if you look at her in her school days, she was chunkier, but she had a teeth thing. And we also know that some of these Nephilim, they have double rows of teeth. That's why eating actually hurts their mouths. Some of them don't eat a lot. Now, I want to show you something else, because you're going to say, how do you know she's even one of them? Like, why would you suspect that? I think a lot of them are on the screen because it's the only way they can make friends. And they were children too, just like our children are children, right? I want to show you a picture of her with her mother. And I want to show you how big she looks beside her mother. Now, this is some trickery here happening. We saw the same thing with the Bidens in the picture with, I'll pull it up, but the Bidens look like giants next to the old president that they had went to visit, the former president. Now, you can't see it here. Again, there's something happening here, and I wonder the way her mother's looking in the other direction, if they're even in the video together. Because if you look here, when they're actually out and about, she is legitimately that much, and I don't mean fatter, okay? I'm going to be very careful as much as I can. She is taller, her limbs are longer, she is bigger than her mother. Is that a crime? No, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying this is everywhere if you pay attention, and most of them are on the screen. Look how much bigger she is than her mom right there. And if you look at some of her marketed pictures for her makeup and stuff with her friends, with her YouTube friends, you'll see what I mean. Because somebody said, wow, I didn't know so-and-so was that small. Look how short he looks next to her. And again, I go through certain things because I'm looking for something, specific examples to show you. I've prayed for this woman. I've prayed for her mother. I've prayed that her friends actually care about her, and that they're not just like frenemies. There's another one. There's no trickery on this one. Look how much bigger she is than her mom. Nephilim Brat Summer, man, I think that a lot of like what we're seeing when Rona started was them wanting things shut down so they could go to Disney World and stuff without being, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people out and about that are bigger than other people. I don't even know how to say this. Like, I gotta watch my words. Like, do you see it? Like, I'm not insane, I promise you. Like, it is real. Like, they are real. And I don't think they're all wicked or evil. I think this girl is sweet as can be. I think she actually is as sweet as she looks. And I think she has been greatly damaged. And I think social media is a big part of the blame, but also our own abhorrent behavior when we are on social media. But she's another one who recently, her recent videos, she lost her bubbly nature and she started making some of the telltale hand signs I've seen in her recent videos as well. And her mom has disappeared. She's not around. And people say they were worried that the mother was forcing her into things. If you watch this one video, it might be that one at the top there. She doesn't actually want to be in the videos. Like, you could tell she doesn't want to be. But her daughter's like, the daughter's the one that's running things. And so many people don't see this today. Like, there's a lot of parental child relationships now, right now especially, where the child is running the parent. Please remember, everything is inverted right now. Everything. Satan wants everything the opposite of God's plan. What is the opposite of God's plan? To have the children running the parents. To have the children dishonoring their parents so they become cursed. Because the child who honors their parent is blessed, and the one who dishonors the parent is cursed. If you two don't quit, I'm sorry, the little girl is in heat, and my pit bull, of course, is not having it. Well, I mean, technically that's what he wants to happen, but he's not going to have it. It's not happening. Will you please stop, guys? I'm almost done. Okay. I was actually going to show my face today in the videos because I believe in being transparent and all that, but maybe I can say hi. And I don't like how, hi, little girl, you want to say hi, Sammy? Come here. No, don't lick me. Say hi. They're playing. So I just wanted to say hi to you guys because I haven't seen you in so long. I am still alive. Thank God. Satan makes counterfeits, yeah, and turns everything upside down, and it makes it look good to some. Yeah, and some people get confused. They think, that's the way, the good way that we're supposed to be following. And it's just not. Let me look at my notes and make sure, I touched on everything there, because I want to give you an update on a couple other things I wanted to talk about, too. Oh, and this is something else that we're seeing a lot of now, and I kind of wanted to end this one here, maybe, after I gave all those example. There is something happening now as well, where there are a lot of, now they're blaming a lot of things on drugs, and I'm not saying that drugs are good or anything like that. I'm saying that I think a lot of this is also damage control. Researchers have strong evidence that one deadly and dangerous drug is behind severe birth defects. The use of this drug during pregnancy is alarming, and there is a new term for it, fetal fentanyl syndrome. Okay, so hold on a second. Cleft palates, small heads, dripping eyelids, and webbed toes and joints that weren't fully developed. Those are some of the issues. Withdrawal, of course, I mean, that's horrible. My concern is that I feel like, again, this is some type of damage control that's going on, because I feel like we're having a lot of tinkering happening with genetics, and I feel like they're scrambling because our birth rates are low, and I honestly, Satan won't have anyone to worship him if he gets rid of all of us. He just won't. So I don't think that's the plan. But to get rid of, the non-compliant ones, absolutely. Guys, will you quit? Oh my gosh, you're driving me insane. But I think that those, birth defects, again, are from genetic tinkering and or possibly some type of radiation pollution. Just my opinion, just my speculation right now, but I am going to look more into that. I wanted to touch base on the Olympics and the medals and the gold and the bronze, and we did do that. Watch for some shorter installments. I have today and tomorrow off, so I might get a couple of things uploaded. I love you guys. Thanks for giving me time today. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm going to go exercise because I'm trying to get, I don't know. Do I have any guns yet? I look way skinny, like, with that little, you can't even see it. Anyways, I'm trying to, like, stay strong, right? Ain't that what they say? Stay strong. I'm trying to. And we looked at that. What else did I have to tell you guys? There was one other thing that I wanted to touch on. A topic that we're going to look at. Sammy, stop it. As a group, though, of course. Hold, please. I'm going to check my list. I'll be doing a video on the French Revolution about substances being gateways. But again, that's going to be different than most people talk about it. And we're going to look at some landmarks, some national and international landmarks. We're going to look at Mount Hermon, Mount Sinai, Mount Zion, specifically. And Mount Olympia, because it's the Summer Olympics. And no, I don't watch them. I have not watched them in years. There's something, again, wrong with them. Even the way that they're telling us not to watch it tells me there's something wrong there. There's something happening there that they don't want us to see. The other thing is, it wasn't on the scale that it should have been. Meaning, again, it looked like something a high school class could have done with AI or with a photo app. So not only was it offensive to, like, my morals and character, right, and me as a French American, but it was also offensive to me just as a an artist. I'm like, that is ugly and it's wretched, and why would they do that? So there's something wrong there that I think we need to quit taking quite so seriously. Leave her alone. She is too little. Just leave her be. I'm gonna lock you. You guys are gonna be separated. Okay. So there'll be more soon, I hope. There's also probably going to be more face-to-face videos, so it can be a little more professional. I'll have notes with me and just leave up links, like the old days, because the screen share is hard to do on this wonky, slow device. But thank you for hanging in there with me, and again, like, we should be compassion, we should be love, we should be as much of Christ as we can, and none of the comments that I make are meant to be like blanket statements talking about a complete group or anything like that at all. So I hope you guys understand. I love you. Thanks for being here with me. We'll talk soon. Bye, guys.